We are placing all our bets on Agentforce. Every customer says to us, it's a matter of if not when. And, some have more nervousness than others around, again, internal versus external. As soon as you can prove out the business case, the conversation changes very quickly.
Those railroads just start getting laid by themselves.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Part of our strength at Salesforce is the diverse network of partners we work with to deliver tailored solutions for our customers and drive business growth through innovative technologies and services. Today, I'm speaking with Jane Beck, Head of Salesforce Practice and member of the senior leadership team at Slalom. Jane brings 25 years of experience in digital transformation and CRM, working across diverse industries in Australia and the United Kingdom. Slalom is a leading global consulting firm focused on strategy, technology, and business transformation. As one of our top global Salesforce partners, they're known for their human-centered approach and their ability to deliver innovative Salesforce solutions that help businesses thrive in a dynamic market. Welcome, Jane. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Well, look, we're in the AI agent era.
Yep.
Is this an exciting or a tricky time to be leading?
Yeah, look, really an exciting time, and I appreciate some people's level of nervousness. Slalom has been working in the Gen AI space for a couple of years now. We've got a number of customers, including Salesforce, NVIDIA, Southwest Airlines, Virgin Voyages, and Xero here locally as well, that we've been working with for a couple of years on this as well. I've got Slalom employees who are so excited about this new product release, and they've come to me and said, this is the most exciting thing that Salesforce has released in many years now, which is just so exciting for me as well. Yeah, absolutely. What a great way to motivate my employees, right? Slalom is all about bringing more, and clearly Agentforce is bringing more to the AI market.
Now, you've mentioned that you've done several implementations.
Yep.
Like, what key lessons has Slalom learned from doing that? It is a new space, so our audience would love to hear what you've learned so that they're navigating these waters.
We have done, as I said, a number of implementations, looking at things like LLMs was a big part of that, understanding test case development. Prototyping is really important, and prompt engineering. And in fact, as part of Slalom, we undertook a mandatory Slalom-wide prompt engineering training that everyone had to do. And it was fascinating putting into different prompts, the different results you get. And that's obviously a big part of ensuring that an Agentforce agentic piece of work is successful. And we're really taking those learnings and we've put that together into a data readiness and agentic AI readiness assessment that we do with our customers, where we look at all those different factors, data obviously being a big part of it as well, and ensuring that the customers are learning the mistakes of the past.
So you mentioned LLMs, large language models, you mentioned prompt engineering. This may actually sound still a little bit scary to some folks. They've probably heard these terms now, but just demystify, is this a very technical thing? What are you talking about here for it actually means for a customer when they're using this technology? You're guiding them, but do they need to become engineers
Not
now?
at all. Oh God, no, not at all, not at all. And the quickness or the pace that we can implement these agents is really extraordinary. If I think about Xero, that was a 10-week implementation. More recently, TripADeal. We've done 2 recent implementations with TripADeal. One was 6 weeks, one was 5 weeks. And really, as I said before, understanding the data is a key part of that. Interestingly, the actual build time, the prototyping of build, is very fast. And we're talking, days and weeks, not months. The testing, though, that's where really that rubber hits the road, and working with the end users to really understand, is this the experience that you're expecting? And if I think about TripADeal, that's obviously an external facing agent, and revenue generating, and we have customers who have a level of nervousness about going down the external route. A lot of our customers are still thinking about internal facing agents, which I understand, and it seems safer and more secure, but really the revenue generating opportunities with an external facing customers are real, and we are seeing it in real time with customers here in region. It's so exciting.
Well, that's fascinating. Firstly, weeks to implement something that can be so game-changing. and that you actually get going in a matter of days
Yep.
is, I think a lot of people have to get their head around that
Yep.
because that's not a traditional enterprise software
No,
project,
not at all.
right?
No.
And one that can deliver
Yeah.
value that you can start to see.
Yep.
Let's touch a little bit. You mentioned internal versus external. That's actually really interesting. I feel obviously there are use cases in both.
Yes.
And so you're saying that from an external point of view, that's more the revenue, or it's easier to be able to
Of
prove.
course, yes.
But so what are the, just maybe, do you have a few examples of what internally people are starting with versus what they might be doing externally?
We have a number of industry-specific accelerators. So we've built a number of demos across different industries. We also have over 1,000 industry-specific prompts,
Oh, wow.
which we have built out working with our global team. So a lot of very industry-specific use cases that we
So
can talk
financial
to.
services, healthcare.
Yeah,
okay.
and speaking of financial services, say an industry broker looking across different policy documents. One of the Xero use cases we've actually done has been sales coach. That is actually an internal facing one. Self-service between employees is really important, and that's a conversation we're having with one of our government clients at the moment, is about how they help their employees get more efficient within their jobs. That doesn't need to be external facing. But then if I think about the higher education industry, we're talking to a customer at the moment. They are seeking to improve or increase their international students, which we all know is a
Yes.
thing in the market
Yep.
at the moment. And their current team works, 9 to 5, and they've got students from all over the world wanting to understand, what the course options are, for example. Even things like visas and how do they navigate that. And that's a perfect example where through an agent, we can start working them to design a process whereby we can take those inquiries, understand what are the course prerequisites, what are the visa prerequisites, if they wanted to combine different courses together, what that might look like, and then not having to wait until 9 o'clock in the morning
Right.
Melbourne time to get a response. We can start formulating all these different really complex requirements for international students and give them answers in the moment, even to the point where we can start saying, do you want to start the enrolment process? Like, what is that next step? So it's amazing the breadth of use cases we're currently looking at.
Yeah, it's fascinating because we've been saying for the longest time it's humans with agents
Yep.
working together. And that's a perfect example where the human just wouldn't be up, right?
Yes,
They're,
yeah,
they're not
absolutely.
working
No.
or they're asleep.
Yep,
and you
yep.
have someone around the globe that
Yeah.
needs an answer. And
Yeah.
so the agent can be helping
Yes.
mature that conversation. And to your
Absolutely.
point, it could take it quite far.
Yeah.
But it's meaning that they're able to continue to grow as
Yeah.
a business. So that's
Yeah,
actually
yeah.
a perfect example of highlighting that. So they're all the internal use cases and then some of the external. You mentioned the apprehension of
Yep.
some, and so this is kind of where my next question is, like, reshaping customer experience. Like, where
Yep.
do you think this is all going? Do you feel this will mean that organizations now will be able to deliver a better customer service? Like we just had one example there, but where do you
Yes.
feel it's all going?
If I reflect on TripADeal, their ability to reduce customer wait times, cost to serve has decreased. The entire customer experience, the efficiency around their service agent has really meant that they have been able to improve the customer experience, but also improve the employee experience. Employees don't want to be doing the mundane admin jobs. They want to be really helping customers explore the different possibilities of what travel might look like in that context. And so it's not just the customer experience that improves. We're also finding the employees themselves are really embracing the change because it gives them an opportunity to really do the more interesting facets of their work that they don't otherwise have an opportunity to do.
It's true. I think at first, most people immediately think, oh, these are the things that I won't be able to do anymore. But
Yeah.
actually, in reality, most people don't want to do those
Yeah,
things.
yeah, absolutely,
Because it's like
absolutely.
you mentioned, it's deep information that might be, so in TripADeal's case, it would be a policy or a catalog around a package that is quite detailed that
Yes,
a
yes.
human would have to memorize.
Yep.
But now, if that can just get answered, they can focus on delivering a great travel experience, right? Which is
Absolutely.
what they want to do.
Yeah, yeah,
Let's
yeah.
talk a little bit more about TripADeal. So obviously a subsidiary of Qantas,
Yes.
and they've got, I don't know if it's hundreds or thousands of amazing packages all around the world.
Yep.
So how did they go through that negotiation of where they wanted to start first, the external, internal?
Yeah,
Can you share a little bit about that?
Absolutely. There was a lot of really, in the first instance, understanding different use cases. And that's the hardest part, really, often for our customers to get past, because the technology itself I don't want to say it's easy or simple, but we can move really quickly.
Straightforward.
Yes. We very quickly then were able to workshop with them, where is the best value for money and what their level of comfort is. And if I think about them and both Xero as well, and we've been working with Xero for the better part of 2 years on Gen AI pieces of work, they're prepared to take risks and they're prepared to try different things and they're not afraid to see where something goes. And it's just so important to be able to kind of go, okay, let's see what happens. We're going to spend a couple of weeks on this. And the beauty of Agentforce is that you can prototype so quickly. In the space of a couple of weeks, you've already got a really strong idea of, is this viable? Are we going to continue with this or do we want to pivot? And so between those two customers, we've been so fortunate to be able to move really fast.
Yeah, I'm really sort of imagining this kind of company coming together to understand where their potential, we call this like trapped value at Salesforce. And so they're workshopping, they're whiteboarding. Who's in that room, like making these decisions? Is this the CEO? Is this the CIO? Like who should be in that conversation?
Yeah, absolutely. So certainly a lot of CMOs. Okay. So certainly people
you like that?
Yes, yeah, we love them.
Brand.
We love them. But also obviously service agents. But what's really important is that it's not just a technology implementation. And it's really interesting because the change, and it depends a little bit on whether it's internal or external facing, but the system and organisational change. So it's really important that people who understand, not just, we're not sitting in a meeting with just the IT department, whether it's sales, whether it's service, whether it's marketing, the experience is so important. And again, making sure that we're coming at from that really holistic point of view, we understand the data, we understand the integrations, but we also understand the human impact. We understand the people that are going to be impacted, whether it's a citizen, whether it's a customer, whether it's an employee, and really understanding all those different facets. That will then really inform who the right people in the room are.
And you're right, you don't want this to be just a traditional IT project because if it's an external case, it absolutely manifests the whole brand, right? How you come across. How important is that actually? And maybe it's more important in some brands than others, but if I want to sound like TripADeal, what goes into making sure that the brand is represented? Did you do some work there to make sure that they have their authentic voice as well?
Oh, absolutely. And that's where the testing came in. And that really iterating on the prompt, again, the prompt engineering and making sure that the voice of TripADeal came through. And you want to be true to your brand. Obviously, it's important to recognise that they're speaking to an agent, rather than a human agent. That's really
Transparency,
important. Yeah, really important, as we know. But that's a really fun part of it, right? Making sure that the voice of the brand, the voice of the customer stays true to the agent and that you can really still feel that emotional connection. That might sound strange, but still feel that emotional connection to the customer.
I think that's important. A lot of leaders will think, okay, I want to do this, but fast forward maybe 2-3 years, you don't want to sound like your competitor, right? So I think it is important that we keep that. How do you progress? What is the art of the possible within a company? What recommendations would you give to folks listening?
We've been running these 2-hour workshops where we look at the different use cases, as I said, but it's really that focus on business case justification and ROI. And I can't really stress that enough because whilst every customer says to us, it's a matter of if not when, and some have more nervousness than others around, again, the internal versus external. As soon as you can prove out the business case, the conversation changes very quickly.
Those railroads just start getting laid by themselves.
Absolutely. And so really getting in front of the decision makers and being able to kind of paint those different pictures. It is surprising, like a 2-hour workshop can be the difference between, being that reluctant and not sure how to proceed. And out of that, we can say to them, okay, these are some of the possible use cases, and really being able to give them that vision and that confidence of where we can go from here. Sometimes it's a longer term roadmap where they really want that, tell me what I'm doing in 12, 18 months.
Yeah. How do you feel, zooming out a little bit, you mentioned you had a US colleague come down from a global point of view in Australia, New Zealand. How are we? Are we punching above our weight here? How are we going?
We are. But we've done a really big push here locally around enablement. Leading into Christmas last year, we got all 350 or so, give or take, Slalomers in ANZ to get Agentforce certified.
That's incredible.
And it's so important, right, that, not just the Salesforce practice, was understanding, how Agentforce work, but really that everyone, and Agentforce is a product that we ourselves at Slalom have already, rolled out and use every day. And so it's really important that we walk that talk, right? And everyone can talk to it. Everyone understands the basics, but also everyone understands the ethics that sit behind it, the security, the safety, the trust that Salesforce always talks about. Everyone in our organisation has now been enabled on that.
Ethics, trust, very important in this space. You mentioned before, it's important to have transparency that you are talking to an agent. That's something we always recommend.
Yes.
Are there some other examples of things that customers are thinking about that you have recommendations around, their data, where it's, what are things that come up, and any tips there that you've learned along the way?
Yeah, so certainly things like the different LLMs. So with Xero, we spent a period of time really analysing what the different LLMs were.
And it's great you can choose which one to use,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely. Yeah, and so that was a big part of it as well, to ensure, there are different options, but then also things like the integrations and data cloud is also a consideration, whether they're an existing customer, and just navigating that as well, and all the different options there, and giving them the confidence that their data is safe, that, all the things, that people have expressed concerns around, we can kind of talk them through the different options, because there are lots of different ways we can approach this. There's not one single way we need to deploy Agentforce. There's a lot of different ways we can, support them on that journey. I was actually talking to my global team yesterday, and they're predicting, somewhere between 100 and 500 agents per customer, front office, forward facing, over the next 12 months. And even in the space of a month, we've had one customer move from 20 to 200 agents in 1 month. And so the pace of change is really fast. And if we think about how quickly the B2C space embraced AI and how quickly that has moved in 12 months, we're really seeing that, now take off in B2B. Obviously not at quite the same pace that B2C has happened, but over the next 12, 18 months, that is just going to absolutely skyrocket like it has for consumers. And we are placing all our bets on Agentforce.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today, Jane. I really enjoyed the conversation. Hope you did too.
Yeah, amazing.
And thank you for being an amazing partner, leading from the front. I think our community is in amazing hands with having an organization like yours that can partner with us to roll out Agentforce at their organization.
Yeah, fantastic. And yes, and thank you for having me here. And it's been great to have this conversation.
Thank you so much, Jane.
Thank you.